House of the Dead 4. Now, I didn't know what to expect when I downloaded House of the Dead 4. What I thought I was going to get was the House of the Dead 3, again. I was really expecting to be disappointed, and I was lining myself up ready for a fall, because I had pretty much written the game off before I had even purchased it. I downloaded House of the Dead 4 and realised how good it is. In fact, it's arguably the best game in the franchise. Yeah. What does House of the Dead 4 do right? The gameplay. Now, you know that this is primarily the most important part of a House of the Dead game. It has to play well. And House of the Dead 4, it plays well. It plays really well. It still feels like House of the Dead 3. But it has a more arcadey, more fast approach to it. Yet it still has that meticulous level of preciseness that you only get from House of the Dead 3. In essence, it's like a mix of all the games up to this point. House of the Dead 4 has that very exploration-y feel from the first two House of the Dead games. It is set in more than one location, which is a big improvement and puts it more along the lines of House of the Dead 2. It has large bosses, which unfortunately have their own health bars, like they did in House of the Dead 3. But the game has more than just multiple routes you pick from a list. Actually, whether you do things correctly or not vastly alters the route you take. And this is just like House of the Dead 1 and 2, and therefore it's an improvement. It's back on track. The amount of zombies you get to kill, far greater number than you did in House of the Dead 3. There just feels like there's a lot more zombies to mow down. And that's where this submachine gun thing comes in, because the weapon this time around fires lots of rounds very quickly. So there are lots of zombies to compensate for this. But you can still take the game slower, and you can be more professional about how you take these zombies out. You don't necessarily have to shoot them as fast as you can, because there are opportunities to kill them slower and to be more careful in order to gain more points and a higher rank. As with all House of the Dead games, the story isn't as good as it could be, but it seems to be a step up from House of the Dead 3's story. For starters, we actually have two decent characters, instead of one this time. The story focuses on what triggered the apocalypse, which you see the aftermath of in the third game. The story focuses on James Taylor, the main character from the second game, and a new AMS agent called Kate Green. The game begins with James and Kate trapped underground. There has been an explosion, and when they come to, the whole place is crawling with zombies. They need to find a way out, and perhaps even learn what's going on at the same time. James Taylor is convinced that Goldman would not have left things as they were at the end of the second game. And for some reason, James believes that Goldman is still planning something. Goldman must be a pretty talented man to be able to plan something from beyond the grave. So James and Kate battle through these sewers and find the command room underneath the AMS agency. And inside this room, they learn that a number of nukes have been set off. That's convenient. There is a room in the sewers that tells them where the missiles have been launched from. But whatever. They make their way out to street level to find out that the whole of Venice has been toppled. James receives a text message from Goldman telling him that there is nothing they can possibly do to stop him.
I knew you were behind this.
So James and Kate drive to Goldman's headquarters at point A0063. Inside, they do indeed find that Goldman has been dead for 3 years, and that he is orchestrating everything beyond the grave. They manage to disable the nuclear missiles, but in doing so, trigger Pandora's box, which is Goldman's ultimate weapon he was working on. Wasn't his ultimate weapon he was working on the Emperor? Or are we to believe he was working on another one? So Pandora's box is opened, and it reveals this monster called the World. James and Kate try to destroy it, but the monster is too overwhelming, and has the ability to regenerate itself. So James decides he's going to sacrifice himself, along with the monster, in order to allow Kate to live. So James presses buttons on his AMS PDA, and runs into the World holding it, and boom. He disappears along with the World, leaving Kate Green to sit there and mourn for however long it is until the special story, which is also included in this PlayStation 3 port. In the special story, Kate Green has been wandering through the apocalypse-ridden streets for a couple of days, and she's worse for wear, and she still can't get over the fact that James is dead. Or is potentially dead. We don't actually know. She bumps into G. Good old G. And G tells Kate that he's found the source, and that they must immediately go and disable it. The source of what? We are not actually told. So they make their way to the source, which turns out to be Magician. They battle Magician and put an end to his plot to create clones of himself. Overall, the story needs work. It's not as good as it could be. In fact, it's got many holes. It's got many, many, many holes. But in terms of a House of the Dead game, the story is merely a means to an end. What other features does this PlayStation Move port of House of the Dead 4 include? This port includes better visuals, at least as far as I can remember from the once that I played it in the arcade. This version also includes support for PlayStation Move controllers, and for up to 2 players at once. It has another unlockable video, which serves no real purpose. At least this time, the game is in 16:9 resolution, as opposed to 4:3, as with House of the Dead 3. Finally, we can enjoy House of the Dead at a full high-definition output with 16:9. I would recommend getting House of the Dead 4, especially if you are a fan of the series, or if you are a fan of rail shooters. The controls seem to work, and manual reload is now included, which is a feature that was necessary. The trophies are also quite challenging. This is one House of the Dead game that you should not miss. If you have the opportunity to get House of the Dead 4, I suggest you do so immediately. It is absolutely astounding, and is one of the best games I have played on the PlayStation 3. It is also one of the best games in the franchise. It is also the first opportunity that gamers have ever had to be able to play House of the Dead 4 in their own home, excluding, I don't know, buying a machine. The inclusion of the special edition is a major plus. Not only that it is included with House of the Dead 4 for the first time ever for anyone outside of a lucky few to play. But it is also included with this version inside the download, that there is no key or downloadable content required to play this mode. Sega needs to take what amazing changes they've made in House of the Dead 4 and incorporate them all into a House of the Dead 5, and to release that in arcades and consoles at the same time. If that's too much work for them, or it's not on their plate right now, I would really like to see a PlayStation Move port of The Loving Dead's House of the Dead EX. To be able to play this, the game that introduced the characters of Zobio and Zobiko, would be an absolutely amazing experience. And I would like to appreciate this off-the-wall, non-canon House of the Dead game. Alternatively, if someone at Sega's PR offices would like to send me a signed centerfold of Kate Green, I would appreciate it. Overall, this is a must download. If you are a fan of the House of the Dead series, it is imperative that you get this game. If you bought your PlayStation Move for Time Crisis Rising Storm and you haven't played it since, get this. Dust your PlayStation Eye off, pull out your Move controllers, and get this amazing game. I'd seriously recommend it. Until next time, if we live that long.